Anybody here can get it. Treat the game like a scrimmage now. Master B with the flow. I swear nigga got no limits now. I've been ballin' for a minute. Whole team full of winners. Anybody here can get it. You tuned into the realest now. Anybody here can get it. Treat the game like a scrimmage now. Master B with the flow. I swear nigga got no limits now. I've been ballin' for a minute. Whole team full of winners. Anybody here can get it.
Leave it to Greg, but there we go.
There we go.
Fucking hell.
I know.
Oi, Dave, you missed it before. He tried to show me he was like, oh, I'm using this webcam, and tried to fucking show me his webcam that he's recording on.
Bit of a lapse there. I was like, told him he needed a decent webcam. I tried to turn mine around so I could face the screen so he could see it.
What the fuck?
I'm taking applications.
Yeah.
Actually, it is early in the morning, mate. He needs a couple of hours for the brain to warm.
Anyone's better than
He's had an extra fucking hour.
I know. I woke up at 6 today, which is what, 7?
Yeah, how nice was it to have an extra hour?
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I caught up with some of the boys from the old Gold's Gym from the Strongman days last night. Lon Tohu and Nick McNamee.
Lon?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say Lon Alexander.
Yeah, Lon. Alexander.
Oh, Lon. Is he still alive? Wow.
Fuck yeah, mate. We were over there last night sucking heaps. I don't know how. Nick, I think Nick and I went through 2 bottles of Wild Turkey honey whiskey.
Damn.
Nice.
Damn.
American honey, that's the business.
Oh, it's nectar, mate. And I think we finished a couple of cigars. So no, it was a great night just to catch up with the boys and talk bullshit about the old days at Gold's Gym and all the 90s strongman days and whatnot.
So that was the Gold's Gym. That was the one on Simon Street, or was it before?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I was there as well, but that's when Frank bought it, so it wasn't Gold's anymore. So it was BTS.
Yeah, it all went sort of downhill. We were talking about it because, back in those days, mate, that place was epic. We'd go in there, the old Gold's Gym, mate. If you couldn't bench 180, you just didn't go in there.
No, exactly. There was a rite of passage.
Pretty much told to fuck off. You know what I mean? You had to be of some caliber, and we sort of think now here we are. We're reminiscing about all that, and then we were cracking up because we go to the gym now, and we're quite happy to get on the machine.
Exactly.
The bench machine and hit 150 pounds for a set of 10 and think, fuck you, I'm happy with that,
Some 18-year-old kid says, yeah, man, you can have a set. I'm just taking a rest.
Yeah, how many sets you got left, bro?
Yeah.
Well, honestly, it still to this day pisses me off the amount of people that sit around, do a set, get on their fucking phone. I leave my phone in the car, and it's just a habit. I don't bring the phone to the gym. I'm there to fucking work out.
Jackson's got about 3 phones, and they're all like different angles.
Different angles, bro. Got to keep the fans happy,
Exactly. Yeah. So the first 90 minutes is just getting the lighting right, hair and makeup.
I don't know about hair and makeup. He doesn't do miracles, do they?
As you can tell.
Yeah.
No, I'm not quite up to that yet.
Born ugly, but.
Yeah. Now you can get jacked, but you can't fix ugly, isn't it? You can't train your way out of that.
No, mate.
I've got a story about Lon, and it still affects me, but it still dictates how I train today, or how I respect the dumbbells. So I went to, when he owned a gym in Mount Eden, just not far from the prison.
We're talking about Coliseum. That's
right. I've still got a Coliseum t-shirt somewhere, but I was just a young 20-something-year-old, and I was the only one in there, and I was doing incline bench press. And I was one of those punks at the time that when I finished my set, I'd let the dumbbells go.
Oh, dickhead.
Oh, I know.
Dickhead.
And Lon, I don't even know if, actually, to be honest, I don't even know if I did it intentionally, but I did it regardless. He went off his rocker, and he came at me and he said, "What the fuck, bro? What are you doing?" And he said, "If you're not strong enough to put them down." And so he said to me, "You don't put them down properly, you get out." And I was just, I was full of testosterone, and I was like, "Nah, I can't stand this." I walk out. But I tell you what, ever since then, I've never dropped another dumbbell. Yeah, never. Yeah, and I look at people now and I go, "Oh, useless," and I'll have a word to them.
Yeah.
He had a big red. His face was all red like a shirt, mate, and his vein was pulsing out his neck.
Oh, he was renowned for his.
And that was before he got angry.
His humble patience, mate.
Yeah.
But we got him. We had even Lon and I sort of had a few run-ins, but we sort of respected each other. But that was it was a different thing. I mean, I think we all respected each other. We all did a lot of bouncing around the nightclubs and shit like that. And I think there was, they were different days, mate. I really miss it. Do you know what I mean? When it was good catching up with Nick and I mean, these guys, I mean, you guys shoulder pressing freaking 200-pound dumbbells, you know? And you don't see that shit today, mate. I mean, Nick, we'd go and we'd load up Gold's Gym, and I remember Nick was behind the neck pressing like 200 Ks.
Yeah. Happens in body call though. That's what's going on in body call down in Christchurch.
I can't wish, mate. 200 kilos behind the head. No way.
Well, mate, you know, most of the kids today can't even deadlift that.
No.
Yeah, it's a nice deadlift in most gyms, bro.
You know, yeah, and even then they probably poo-pooed it because it makes too much noise.
Yeah, is that true? Is it not happening now? Is it not happening anywhere, eh?
Nah,
Why not?
When Chris, before Bodycore like took off, Chris, when I first came back, Chris worked at City Fitness.
Yeah.
And so we went there just for a few sessions, you know, and yeah, they kept hounding him. Oh, you should train here. It's good advertising, da-da-da. And then, so we did some deadlifts, and you know, you get up to that. I don't know what the cutoff is. It must be like 140 or something, because we keep going up, and they come over, and you can see the manager sort of evil eyeing us, and we keep going up, and then they come over and, oh, can you not do that? What do you mean?
True story.
You told us to train, so not allowed.
Wow, not
allowed. There must be a cutoff.
I just don't understand. It's just it rips my undies, boys. I just think, you know, it's almost like it's an end of an era.
What is it with kids? The kids just don't. Are they not finding that thing that kind of look appealing anymore? That
you can't get it in 7 seconds.
Yeah, is that because of
It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
Mate, I think we're sort of in the culture here where it's all about fast consumables, and you know, everyone, why get it when I can get surgery or whatever? You know, work ethic is something that is the true essence of a real powerlifter or a bodybuilder. Is the hard yakka, and you know, that's something that I remember about Golds is, you know, no matter how you were thinking or feeling, when you went in there, the environment would inspire you. You just had to step up. There were no fucking excuses with the guys there. I don't give a shit what was going on. You're there to bench. This is the plan. We fucking do it. And you'd work your butt off. But, you know, you're hanging around with guys that were like-minded, had the same attitude. That environment itself was inspiring. And I just don't see, I mean, when I decided to get back into the gym, I had to look around for a couple of places, and I've got to admit, I was looking for some machine work, but I like the old plate-loaded sort of hammer gear and that whatnot. But I did find a gym, and I've got to say I'm really enjoying it, which is a little bit more hardcore, which is Wolf's Gym in Henderson. A young Nat has taken over the gym, and I've got to say the guy has done an outstanding job in creating an environment where he encourages bodybuilding, powerlifting, and I thoroughly enjoy it. I love going to that place, mate. It's brilliant. It's one of the few places around Auckland, I think, that it's got that sort of the old. I actually get a sense of an old feeling of you know, back in the 90s, you know.
The guy that opened that was Wolf off Gladiators over in the UK.
Yes.
When I was in the UK, I trained with James, who was Hunter.
Yep.
When we did Strongman together.
Yeah, that's right. Because he had 2 gyms. He had one in Henderson and one over the shore. And I think Wolf sold one of them to another guy and took over the North Shore one. And then Nat, who was working at the Henderson, eventually took over the Henderson one. He's made some changes to the place, but what we noticed that the vibe sort of died a bit when Nat took over. Suddenly we got this vibe back, this energy. You know, you want to go into a place where, you know, when you walk in, you know, fuck, I just can't wait to train. You know, I go to these. You go to some of these. I went with a train with a mate. We went to City Fitness or something in Newmarket, and it was all the pretty people, mate. And like, I'm sorry. I mean, I just don't. I mean, I'm obviously too pretty for them.
Yeah, it's gonna say, man. Come on.
Enough said, really.
Yeah.
I think people were too worried about sweating because it would fuck up their makeup.
Yep.
That's like their flagship gym as well. That Newmarket
City Fitness in Newmarket. Yeah.
Didn't do anything to inspire me, mate.
Nah, they got rid of all their. They went through this big overhaul and got rid of all the heavy dumbbells.
You kidding?
The max is 46 or something now.
Oh.
You know,
mate,
what are you doing with that?
Exactly, mate. That was. I remember, like, I'd go in there when I was at Wolf's, and when I was still, because I've sort of hung up the old powerlifting boots now, boys. I'm getting just.
No.
Never say never, mate.
No.
Don't be like
that.
that.
I know I never say never because who knows? I might go back and set the records for the 55-year-olds. I'm still, and look, you're right. I never say never, but it was such a good buzz when you go and throw the 150s around. Do you know what I mean? Like, what's interesting, you know, you go into a lot of these gyms and where all the heavy dumbbells are, there's normally dust, spider web,
rust,
and then you'll find some of us old bastards there, right? Because that's where it begins.
I used to.
I suppose it's what's the gym for. I mean, they're a good, exhibitive. They'll get rid of the heavy dumbbells to make room for more treadmills, you know, because that's the sort of members they want that just come in, no wear and tear, pay their membership, or don't even go and still pay their membership.
Yeah, that's true.
Where guys like us are their worst nightmare, really. You know.
Yeah, we fuck up their shit.
Well, you know, in fairness to these gyms, they've got to compete with these real low price, you know, Jets and your Snap Fitness are coming in $5, $6, $7, $8 a week.
That's City Fitness. That's what I mean.
Yeah, these bulk membership deals that are just killing the industry, and obviously you've got specialist gyms like your Wolves and so forth. And I go to the one on the shore, Dave. It's called Functional Fitness now. You know, and people like us don't make the money. You know, we don't make the money. There's no money. There's no money in buying it. There's no point really. You know, look at it, and there's no point in spending $300 on a set of dumbbells that, you know, 2% of your members are ever going to use. You know, it doesn't make any sense. But at the same time, you know, people like us, where do we go? You know, so we're all going to congregate, you know, especially in a big city like Auckland and Christchurch, we're going to congregate in one gym. So one gym's going to lap it all up, eh? So you've got to have at least that 1 or 2 gyms per city, I think.
And I think that's where that sort of nurtured and developed a little niche market there. There's some, and what's interesting, he's really sort of inspired a lot of the members there. We actually purchased the GPC bench that the guys were using, and I brought it actually and said, look, mate, we'll go halves with you, we'll buy it, I want to put it in the gym so that people can start learning how to powerlift. So we've got a proper deadlift bar there now, because a lot of gyms won't even have a proper deadlift bar. You know, we've got a deadlift bar, we've got a decent bars, we've got a decent bench press now, the GPC, the old GPC, you know, the orange one that we had.
The Valhalla one. Yeah.
That thing's outstanding. And I love the bench because a lot of these benches, mate, they're so freaking narrow. I can't even freaking fit on them.
Those Star Trek ones and stuff.
We have it.
Blades.
Mate, I went to City. I still struggle. We were trying to do machine dips. I couldn't even fucking fit in the bloody thing.
Yeah.
Let alone trying to fucking dip in it. You know what I mean? It's just. It's designed for your 78 kg abbed, pretty looking lad, I think.
The smartest dip machine is where the bars are like that. You know, and so big cunts like us can go right at the like you, Dave, can go at the end, and little guys can go right there at the very, you know, top of the machine there.
Oh, you know what we actually did? We forgot to do a fucking intro, didn't we?
Oh fuck, we've already and let's. I mean,
but fuck it, it's all good.
Are we supposed to be talking about mental performance? What are we supposed to be talking about?
We're not supposed to be talking about anything, mate. This podcast goes in all directions. Yeah, typically, we want to talk about you, mate, because obviously you're the star of the show. Welcome to the. Should I do the intro now?
But I was gonna say we're just gonna have.
Fuck's sake, you know.
Hey, listen, what people don't know is I've put $100 in his account to try and build me up.
He's fucked it up. Honestly,
money back, buddy.
I'll give you $90 back. Tell you, let's make it call it quits. So
it's hard to find good help these days.
Fuck yeah! Welcome to the podcast, everyone.
20 minutes late.
20 minutes in. I'm Greg. He's Jackson, wherever you are on the screen, Jackson. And we've got a special guest today, Dave NIETHE. Dave, welcome. Welcome to the podcast, mate.
Intro, bro. Thanks.
I know. Dave, number one mental performance coach in the country. Number one, Dave. You've done a ranking table.
I'm a very humble man, mate. I would probably say number one in the South Pacific.
Number one in the South Pacific. No, I think I can attest to that. Number one. Yep. No, I'd go for that too.
Taken over well, I can tell you, mate. I have clients all around the world, so I've just. Where was I yesterday? I was in Scotland yesterday. Working with a MMA fighter.
Wow.
Clients all around the world, mate. Yeah.
So if you go to folks who are listening, if you go to davidniethecoach.com, you can really get a feel for Dave's accomplishments, Dave's resume, and the type of people that Dave works with. So, you know, just looking at the website now, you've got obviously Lydia Ko is probably one of the more famous ones, Dave? You know,
old Izzy.
Izzy, yep, absolutely.
Young Izzy.
Huge roster. Dave deals with people doing actual sports, not powerlifting. No,
exactly. Across the spectrum. It's across the spectrum.
Well, I actually worked with a young guy, Connor, who's ranked number 2 in the USPA. I think he's the 93 kg division.
Okay.
He's ranked number 2 over there in the USA.
Wow, fantastic.
In the IPF affiliate, the USAPL?
Yeah. I think, I mean, this is a young kid who's after a 900 total, mate.
Jesus.
Yeah. And the 93s, that's mad.
Yeah, anytime we're talking 10 times body weight, we're talking world class there.
Oh, he's a freak, mate. Yeah. Absolute freak.
Dave, you work with you do seminars, speaking circuits. Had a look at your testimonials, and I love them. Not your testicles, testimonials. Make sure I say that correctly. Pulled out a few pills. Hope you don't mind me going through them.
No, by all means. I don't even know what they are.
Let's start at the top. Dave, a large and hearty looking character. Dave's style can only be described as real.
Yep.
David's style was very direct and in some cases shocked our people into conversations that lasted well beyond the conference. He was magnifying. Everyone in the room was captivated by his energy, enthusiasm, and personal drive. He was also pretty funny.
I said that was a surprise.
Nice. Yeah, he was also pretty funny.
What do you mean? I'm not fucking funny.
He was also pretty funny. I don't know. Was that intentional, mate? Or
funny looking, maybe. That's a typo.
That's
bro.
very.
I was going to say typo.
Yeah, that's very tripping on the stairs
on the way up to the platform.
Yeah.
David, I
I
wanted to ask about one of them. Where's your? Can we get a Mac sponsorship? The makeup company?
Well, look, mate, like I said, Mac do a great range of products, but they don't do miracles, buddy. So probably not.
Damn it. I'm more than 15 minutes away from it.
So, Dave, what's the story, man? What's the story with this line of work? What's it all about? And why do you do it?
Well, maybe what I should do is maybe sort of tell you how it all came about.
Yeah, let's do some history, yeah?
Let's start with some history. So, for me, mate, I struggled at school. I'm dyslexic, right? So back in those days, in my day, because I'm the eldest in the room, if you were smart, you went and got university, and if you weren't, you'd try and get an apprenticeship. So I left school with no qualifications. I eventually got an apprenticeship as a printer. fuck, I hated that job with a fucking passion. But the old man pulled some strings and said, shit, you know, you got to have a career. And that's what he was doing. So I basically went to work simply to eat and to get money to pay for my food. You know, I was obsessed with training. So my last year at Wesley, I started working out with a guy called Neil Crombie, who was our prop for our first 15. And I fell in love with it. And after I left, I remember I couldn't afford a gym membership. So there was a guy at work who sold me some old dumbbells and barbells, and I used to sit in the back of my piece of shit little Viva that I had to drive around because the old man wouldn't let me go and get a loan to get a Tirana, which is probably a good thing because I wouldn't be here today if I had.
No.
So I used to drive around, and I still remember to this day, I was out the back of Drury with some mates, and they're all on the piss and having smoking a little bit of you know what. And I'm out there training, and the boys are going, hey, come on, get on the piss, mate. And I'm going, nah, boys, I'm training. And they kept giving me shit. And so eventually I said, look, one of them said, well, what the fuck are you training for? And I just blurted it out. And I said, well, one day I'm going to be the strongest man in the country. Well, they thought it was comedy hour. So I packed up my shit and never saw those fuckers again. I just
Good on you.
and I came obsessed with weight training. I mean, it was something that I was good at because I didn't do particularly well at school. So I fell in love with it. Now, on that journey, as I went into the strongman, I did Highland Games. I met some pretty amazing guy called Steve Barry was a bit of an influence for me. Matt Rossiter, two great guys that are passed now, mate, which is a real shame. But I went on and did some training. But as I went into it, I realized more and more it was a mental thing. So the boys, when I was that guy, they used to call me Staffy because fuck, when I sank my teeth into something, I wouldn't let go. I was fucking tenacious, mate. I fucking hate losing, right? So I started studying hypnosis, and then from there back into neurolinguistics just to help improve myself mentally. I was looking for that mental edge. Well, I fell in love with this stuff, and eventually I realized this is something not only am I passionate about, but I was starting to share it with others, unbeknown. You know, people were keen to train with me, and I'd start encouraging them and talking about shit. Well, I'm sitting in the kitchen at my house, and I'm going, mate, this is going to be my career. I've found it, you know. And I'm sitting and thinking, well, how the fuck am I going to make this happen? And I'm sitting with two of my mates, and they go, well, where are you going to work from? And I went, fuck, I don't know. I can't afford an office and shit. And they said, well, mate, you've got a garage there full of crap. We're going to fucking come and help clean it out, and we'll line it all, and build an office for you. And here we are today. I've been working out of this fucking garage for over a quarter of a century.
Oh, damn.
Mate, I've been in the same place, and I love it, man. This is my little office where I've created the dream, you know?
I didn't realize you've been in that same place the whole time, mate, because I saw it 6 months ago. That's the same place you've been in the whole time.
Same place. We have been in here for, well, damn near 30 years, I think, Joe and I. Obviously, you know, the biggest influence for me, apart from meeting some of these great guys, I had a very supportive wife who
you do
absolutely believed in me, and
very patient, patient,
beautiful, caring woman, mate. And fuck, man, bless her, because I'm lucky to have her in my life, mate. But we had when I was printing, I had fuck all money. I was on like $7 an hour.
Oh dear. And
I remember I wanted to improve. So isn't it interesting how law of attraction? So my wife, this is my first ever coach for the mental side of things. So there's a guy selling pot plants next door, across the road in Fairlands Ave, a guy called Clive Litton, who was an ex-priest who went into therapy and all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff. And she got talking to him, and she came over with all these pot plants and said, I met this guy, Clive. He's really interested. You should talk to him. So I went and talked to him, and he said, look, I'm getting into coaching. and I'm starting to put a coaching program together. So, you know, would you? And I said, fuck, mate, I'll be your first guy. I'm in. Right now, I had fuck all money, and I think a session with Clive was like $60 an hour. Now, for me and Joe, mate, we were struggling just to pay the mortgage. You know what I mean? So I sold shit to pay for sessions. I just did whatever overtime I could, and he was a stubborn fucking prick. Like I couldn't show up late. I had to do my homework. It had to be spell check. He'd correct me and you know, I'm dyslexic, so I'm writing shit and it's not fucking written properly, and I'm going, fuck, you're a fucking old prick. I hated him at times, you know, like, because he was so fucking intelligent, but he nurtured and mentored me. And I still I caught up with Clive just on the weekend. He's 80 this year. Amazing man. And you know, you get people like that in your life who become a real influence. Do you know what I mean? And from there, I went on this journey, mate, where I was obsessed with learning. So I think I've read something like 800 books over the years. I've done so many courses. Obviously, I went off and got my master's in neuro-linguistics and NLP. But I've done so much more than that. I've worked with a guy actually out of William Horton, who's a psychologist out of Miami. Another interesting guy who he works with Miami Vice. So he works with suicide prevention, jumpers, and hostage negotiation.
Oh, interesting.
So he's got some fucking pretty amazing stories and the shit that he's had to go through. But I've met some pretty amazing intellectuals, man. So that's what stimulated with me to get out there and start doing this. And then, mate, here we are, 26 years this year in coaching. And like I said, I've got an international clientele now, mate, which I'm really fucking proud of. I've developed world number ones in a multitude of different sports. Right now, it seems to be the in thing for me right now is UFC fighters. So I've just picked up a couple more fighters over in Australia, a couple of UFC fighters. I've been working more and more on a bit of a concept of developing. I'm just doing some papers now. I'm doing my philosophy papers, which I'm really enjoying. But I'm interested in how I can accelerate growth by utilizing a simple principle of tapping into alter ego. And so I've been developing this, and we've had multitudes of stories. I mean, I think the big one for a lot of people that they understand is Israel Adesanya's story. He came to me, he'd lost 2 fights. This is probably going back in 2017, something like that, when we first got together. And we just started having conversations. And then from there, we started playing around and developing Style Bender.
Style Bender.
Israel, in essence, never fights as Israel Adesanya. That guy's parked in the changing rooms. What comes out is the Style Bender.
Interesting. Okay.
So when you think about that, you can go to a different level of belief, confidence, energy, psychology. So we started, and I was working on this even before Israel, but this is probably the most memorable sort of example of it. Mate, we just transformed him. He said his first fight, he was absolutely devastated. And for him, he just felt like he was calm, focused. There was I talk about congruent communication. You know what it's like. For instance, if you're doing say for instance, a 320 deadlift, if you've done it multiple times, you'll have a certain belief system and a certain way of approaching it, and you'll pull it up, and it'll be impressive, right? But isn't it interesting if I put 2.5 kgs each side and it's like a PB, there's sometimes a slightly different psychology. And what can happen is that because that fear factor kicks in, our procedures can start being compromised. Do you know what I mean? You notice how ideally I want to build some sort of routine, but more importantly, the psychology that supports the intent is to be absolutely fucking fearless without being reckless, right? So I've been developing this in a multitude of different areas, whether it's even to a certain point in some of the sprinters. I had one of my young girls just PB, who has been through a real challenging time, Simone. They actually did a little documentary on her and her journey. What you can do when you can tap into something that is more than you is amazing. So this initially was instigated by one of the first books that I ever read that really started me to think about the psychological side of things. And I was 13 at Wesley College. And one of my favorite subjects was from Graham Kane, who was the priest, but he would have a class called Life and Faith. And it wasn't all biblical stuff. It was about life, you know. And he gave me a book called Jonathan Livingston Seagull. To this day, that is my favorite book, right? And here I am, and I'd encourage everyone to go and read it. For me, this book about this seagull that fucking didn't want to be like the rest of the flock, you know, where everyone else is racing around for fish heads. This seagull said there must be more to life than this, and he decided he wanted to be the fastest seagull ever. And it just talks about his story. And as he goes on this journey, he starts meeting other seagulls with similar ideas. Well, it's an amazing book that still to this day I get mesmerized by. And all the theme music in the movie is done by Neil Diamond. So I do a lot of meditation or self-hypnosis listening to that shit. You know, I fucking love it. And that stimulated everything. So a lot of this, I've been playing around with concepts and ideas for over 30 years, and I'm doing more and more research. I just finished, if you want to read a book that will fuck with your head, go read Thus Spoke Zarathustra.
Say that again.
Thus Spoke Zarathustra.
Jesus. Okay, we'll write that one down.
It was, written by a guy called Friedrich Nietzsche, who was a great German philosopher.
I've heard of Nietzsche. Yep.
Oh my God, mate! You have
heard of him. I haven't read anything.
You don't try and read it, because you'll understand about 1% of it. Jesus, and then for me, you'd be confused about 50% of that 1%.
That's just like the title.
Mate, I tell you, I think there's probably only a handful of people in the world that can really interpret the understanding. But some of the stuff from there was just really fucking amazing. And like I said, I just get really excited about learning about how we can take the human mind and how do we use this in performance and how do we accelerate performance? How do I take people to another level of confidence, of fearlessness? And for me, I get a buzz out of helping people succeed. That's, you know, when I have someone who comes in and people say, look, you know, you got world champions on your wall and whatnot. Mate, I've got stories of 12-year-old kids that have had a PB in the pool. You know what I mean? And that's just as powerful to me as it is having Israel win UFC titles. You know what I mean? It's just, there's a real buzz in helping people achieve their goals, man.
Dave, do you pick your clients? Do they pick you? Like, what's your selection criteria? Do you have something inherent in them? Can you work with anybody, or do you?
I can work with anybody, but I do get pretty selective, mate. Like, I'll be honest with you. If I don't like you, I'm not working with you.
There's us out the picture, Greg.
Oh shit! Okay, sorry. Let's cancel this.
Well, no, not because I don't like you. It's just, you know, there always has to be a certain level of intellect. Yeah. Like reading and writing helps, guys. Right? Yeah. Go get your crayons.
Why do you think we do a podcast?
Exactly.
But what it's interesting for me is majority of the time, like 99% of my clientele is all referral. So there's already a certain level of want and interest and curiosity. So I generally have no problems. I mean, the issue that I do have is being a one-man band, being limited for time. You know, I generally have up to a 7-week waiting list, and if people are patient, I can see them. But you can appreciate in desperate situations, people are going, look, I need to sit. You know, that's one of the challenges of being a one-man band. I would love to be able to duplicate myself, but how the hell do you do that, you know?
So in saying that, Dave, you're the product, eh? So you don't have a product, you don't have a model.
No.
You're the model.
Yeah, it's interesting. People say to me, what's your format for coaching? And I said, well, there is no format. I purely coach with intuition. I have got no fucking idea what we're going to be talking about or referring to. I'm even like this when I run seminars. People say, well, what's your format for your seminars? And I said, well, I'll tell you. And it's pretty high tech, and quite honestly, it's a secret, but I'll tell you what it is anyway, because I like you. I show up.
Yeah, I was going to say, that you pay it, I show up.
Yeah. As long as the mister's going, yes, they're paid, sweetheart, I'm fucking there, you know? But no, I love like I said to you guys, let's just fucking, I like the organic process. I get really pissed off, you know, and I've been in this industry and I've actually mentored and helped hundreds of people that want to get into mental performance. And people have gone, why are you helping people that want to fucking take your market share? And I'm going, mate, when you're fucking as good as I am, you will never work. You will never run out of business, mate. You know, I'm not, you know what I mean? Fucking hell. I'm probably one of the most expensive in the country, and I've got a fucking damn near 2-month waiting list, for God's sake. So, you know, we need more coaches out there. I'm just anal about the quality of the coaches. I want to make sure that they're up to a certain standard.
Well, like you say, and like you've insinuated, everybody could do with some mental performance coaching. There's probably nobody in the world that won't benefit from some degree of performance coaching, because it's all about bringing out the best in them, isn't it?
Yeah, I would think, you know, if you ever had the opportunity to go and invest a little bit of money, you know, go and invest the money into yourself. Go and do a 10-hour or a 10-hour session with a coach. Go and find someone that's intriguing, that's got a track record, whatever, and go and spend some time working on yourself. I mean, who's the most important person in your life? You know, it's you. And I'm for me personally, it's interesting. We talked about sort of philosophy, and one of the things that Nietzsche was talking about, and I can appreciate he was a little controversial, especially from a religious perspective. But I kind of understand, and I do agree with him in the sense that, you know, our purpose on this planet is not to exist so that we can die and have a better life in an afterlife. He believed that the purpose through suffering, the purpose through frustration, was to become the ultimate version of ourselves. And what he would talk about is the Übermensch, the Superman. And as men is going through life and evolving, we are evolving as human beings. And it's interesting for me, it's a philosophy that I had before I even sort of read or researched anything that Nietzsche had talked about. And for me, there were certain things that really stimulated that sort of belief system and want to challenge myself and be the best version of myself. And that was very much related to my granddad and my Uncle John, who both served in the war. And for me, the belief system is pretty simple. It's sort of out of respect for the men and women that gave their lives for our freedom. We and each and every single one of us has a responsibility to be the best we can be and all we can be. And if everyone took on that sort of mentality, I believe this world would be a better place. Unfortunately, 99% of people couldn't give a fuck, and they would do just enough to survive. Well, fuck that. That's not what I want. I mean, for me, I live congruent with what I teach. I live life by design. I've been doing a 4-day week for 26 years. Why? Because I don't want to, it's not about the money for me. What I was interested in was time. I wanted time. So when I talk about a 4-day week, actually I only do 16 clients a week. So in essence, it's a 2-day week, isn't it?
So if you worked a little harder, you wouldn't have a 7-week waiting time, would you?
Yeah, but fuck that, mate. Why would I want to compromise? I don't want to compromise that time.
No, absolutely, 100%.
See, I can make money. Money can come and go, mate. But time, you don't get that back.
What do you spend your time doing?
So a lot of my time, one without a doubt, is training. I absolutely. So as an example, I'll have, say for instance, tomorrow on Monday, I'll have 2 clients. Even though it's Easter, there's still clients there because I couldn't give a shit if it was Easter or not. I still do a 4-day week.
No fucking public holidays when you're self-employed.
No, exactly, mate. Well, look, like I said, one week rolls into another, and I have long weekends every week.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me, you know. But, you know, I start at 10. I'll do 2 clients. Then I'll have lunch, go to the gym. I'll come back and I'll have obviously 40-minute little kit, watch the news, have another feed, and then I'll go to work that night. And then after that, I spend a lot of time doing my papers, my research. So I spend a lot of time reading. Right now, I've got about 400 pages that I have to read in order to put an assignment in. I love learning. Now, for me, you can appreciate being dyslexic. So reading and writing was a real challenge. I thoroughly enjoy audio books and video because I learn a lot easier from it, but I still have to do my reading. I had to take accountability for, hey, listen, if you want to be a coach, for me, I'm being a really competitive motherfucker. I don't want to be a coach. I want to be the coach. So in order to be the coach, I had to educate myself. More importantly, I had to be congruent with what I'm talking about. You get a lot of people out there that tell you one thing and they live a completely different life. You know what I mean? I wanted to be congruent. So I'm very hard on my clients. I have a reputation, as Greg read out earlier, I have a reputation for being pretty blunt and honest with people. In fact, it's one of the first questions. I'll sit down with a client and say, hey, listen, do you give me permission to be blunt and honest? Because, mate, I'm not here to blow smoke up your ass. I'm going to keep it real and challenge you. And people are really appreciate it. It's interesting. You can appreciate I have, let's just say, a colourful language. I'm a South Auckland boy. That's how I was brought up. And in 26 years, I've never once had anyone complain about my swearing. Amazing, eh? So
nice.
Fuck for that.
Thank fuck, yeah. Not even your kids' teachers, eh?
Well, I think what's interesting, mate, is that they see it as not so much a swear word, but amplifying the message.
Adjective.
Yes. And if I knew what that meant, I'd probably agree with you, mate.
Well, it shows passion. Yeah, I think.
It does, yeah,
it shows passion in what you're.
I think that's what people like. I think people really appreciate someone who's authentic, no bullshit. And I mean, I'm not trying to be something I'm not, mate. But I think the other key thing as a mental performance coach, I know what it's like to push yourself to the limits. I know what it's like to go through injury, through frustration, through failure. I've failed in business, I've failed in life, but I'm that tenacious.
You've come back.
Yeah, mate, and it's it's a real simple mentality. I'm never ever gonna quit.
I think people can pick up on that sort of stuff. Like you can tell when someone's just chatting shit. Really, like if someone's telling you something, and you're like, he's just fluffing around the issues, like. Whereas when you're passionate about something, the occasional swear words, like I'm much the same. I'll talk to my clients the same as I'll talk to my boys. Yeah. And no one's ever can you?
No one's ever complained. No. But I think that they can. I think people can appreciate it. It comes from a loving place, because I really do care. You know what I mean? And I'm like I said, I'm very competitive. I want my clients to win. Now, by definition, so for one client, it may be a 3-second PB on the track. For someone else, it could be a world title.
Yeah, success is success. It's all relative.
Correct.
It's all stepping stones along the way.
Exactly, mate.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the buzz that I get because, you know, working with a coach, I think one of the things that we can do is, and what we can create is momentum. Now that's powerful. When you start getting some momentum going because you're becoming more consciously aware, your intentions and our intentions start becoming aligned, you start building momentum. And that's, when you get momentum, you just got to hold on for the ride. It's inevitable that you're going to get what you want. And that's the key to, I think, good coaching. I think we get a lot of coaches out there, what you were saying before, Jackson, they're not quite congruent. They're what I call cut and paste fucking coaches, mate. They
cookie
fucking
cutters
drive me nuts. You know, they basically cut and paste words, sentences, and shit. And like I said, you know, you can get someone coming in who has got a presentation and he can look pretty. And I say a fucking death by PowerPoint because you've got all your points up there. A true coach, mate, I can bowl up. All I need is a whiteboard. Give me an audience. Start discussion. I fucking know it because I know my shit. I don't have to be guided or policed by something that is going to help me guide my way. Fuck, I just open my mouth, mate.
That's the big difference with understanding something. So like we find the same with like for coaching. I obviously a bit of mental coaching comes under what I do, but it's very simplified compared to what I'm sure you do. But giving someone a program or whatever is completely different to understanding the system of why you're giving them that program and being able to apply versus just saying, do this. Because then when they ask why, well, you're up shit creek without a paddle, really, you know.
Yeah, you got to know your shit. Now, what's interesting, a bit like this, it's a bit like, you know, you're working with a client. When we talk about the challenges of being a mental coach, if you were to have a client and say, look, there's Ed Cohn, see how he gets in that position at the bottom of the squat. I want you to get in something similar. And so they've got a reference point. But I can't go, see how Ed Cohen's thinking now? I want you to think like that.
Yeah.
That's the fucking challenge. And that's the craft of good mental performance coaching, is that you can find a way to communicate that people get it and can apply it.
That's why you can't go in with a list because it's going to be different for everyone. Everyone's got their own thing that drives them.
Fucking absolutely.
Yeah.
I've had people, listen, I'll tell you something, mate. I've had so many clients that have worked with other individuals, and I'm not going to bag others.
You're allowed to. It's allowed.
But, you know, fuck, I'm good. I'll give you an example. I had one guy who was working, and we're talking about someone who's working with high performance. He spent 2 years with someone. And for some reason, one of his colleagues said, you know, he was just saying, I don't feel empowered. I don't feel like I'm getting anything. And I'm still going back over and over. Anyway, they said, well, go and see this guy, NIETHE. So the guy comes in, and I won't mention his name because it's just not ethical. But after that, now he goes, fuck me. I'm going, oh God, what's wrong? He goes, mate,
my first complaint.
I'm fucking pissed off. You go, what? And he goes, mate, I spent fucking 2 years with those fuckers up there, and I have 1 hour with you, and I feel like I've fucking gained a shitload.
Wow.
1 hour. And mate, the amount of stories that I have where people have gone, yeah, I've worked with someone or I've done a little bit of this and that. Then they've come in for a session and gone, fuck me. I couldn't sleep that night. I had so much going on. That's the buzz that I get, because I want to stimulate people to start taking responsibility, to be conscious of their thoughts.
Yeah.
And you go, and what's interesting is most people fucking kind of know that, but they still fucking don't do anything about it.
It's hard though, because people don't want to be honest with themselves.
Yeah, and that's why, like I said, you need someone who's, let's just say, I'm very authoritative in the sense that, look, for me, I don't put anyone on a pedestal. Now, I can work with I've worked with guys that are making millions, and I'll fucking call them out, and they fucking appreciate it. How's this? I've worked with top athletes. I've worked with millionaires. Just recently, I had a phone call from my first billionaire to have a session with him.
Wow.
Does he skip the waiting list, or you put him on the waiting list?
I said, listen, mate, I'm fucking incredibly busy right now. And the name's Mr. NIETHE. No, he phoned me. I got an email from someone saying, hey, listen, this guy's really interested. Could you send your details via email so that we can? And I said, listen, I don't give a fuck who it is. Look, I'll tell you how it works. If he's interested, tell him to fucking phone me.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, I get a phone call going, well, hey there, Dave. It's a guy that is let's just say you'll probably find out who it is, but he owns Tara Edie golf course.
Oh, yeah.
He's developing all the land up there. I think he's got something like a $200 million yacht, mate.
Wow.
You know, helicopter. And what an amazing man, eh? So we go up there, and you know, Greg, you've met me. You know what I'm like. Fuck this and fuck that. No bullshit. Within 30 seconds, mate, he is. So I worked with him for about half an hour, and his wife came in, and she's going, "Oh my God, Dave, you are so right. Rick, isn't he right? He is so right." So, and we had a ball. And I've got these two doing these exercises. They had a book, and Rick went afterwards. We finished, and we're walking out there, and Rick goes, "Can we have a photo?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, mate." And he says, "Right, come here, Dave." And he's like this guy's fucking almost 80, trying to pick me up. And I'm going, "Now, Rick, you had one little blue tablet. Just take it easy, mate." And he's cracking up laughing. And you know what's interesting for me is the diversity of people that I get to meet and work with. You know, I truly believe in giving something back. I have some people that I take care of free of charge. I know their circumstances, they can't afford it. I have a young swimmer who came to me, Paralympian, mum and dad, Islander family. Dad's freaking working shitloads of hours. Mum looks after the family. And this young girl has some potential. In fact, she just recently, I think about a year ago, set a world record. And you're sitting down with them, and you know it gets to that moment where we've got to talk money. And you can see the, like, you know, this is, because I'm not cheap. But it was so sad. I could see the potential in this young lady. And I just said, guys, there is no, I'm going to look after her. For the next 5, 6, 10 years, whatever it takes, I'll be there.
That's awesome.
Well, fuck me, mate. I've got, and Dad's no fucking small islander. He's a big boy. Burst into tears. It just, I love giving something back. I just recently did a little talk for up there at Mount Albert with some of the lads there, and it's giving back to the community. I think it's important that, yeah, I make good money, but I want to give something back as well. So I have my own foundation. I have a number of organisations and athletes that I work with free of charge. I think it's an honour to be able to give something back to the community, mate.
That's awesome. Dave, take us through. Sorry, Jackson, go.
I was going to say, do you think, like, I mean, I know from probably maybe 10 years ago, like, it's the same with strength and conditioning. It's come a long way in the last, it comes along in leaps and bounds every year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know what it was like 20 years ago, but, like, is it something that people are, because I feel like I've always known that it's a big part of it, but
yeah.
Is it something people have taken more seriously now?
Well, put it this way, I think what I've heard and what I've read, it's probably one of the, I think it was the second fastest growing industry in the world, second to IT.
Damn.
Mental performance.
Well, coaching in general. Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
There's quite a spectrum, whether it's business coaching, leadership coaching, right through that whole spectrum. So it's a massive industry.
Do you think that's a shift in people wanting to learn more, or it's just more accessible?
I think it's a shift for the better in the sense that people are becoming more consciously aware of the importance of I think to a certain point, a lot of it's conditioning. I know back in my day, initially I was brought up in a harden the fuck up mindset. Mate, seriously, I remember one of the boys was talking about the challenges he went through, and I'll tell you, we were mocking him because he was getting emotional. We were like, fucking harden up, mate. This is the old gold gyms days. Fuck a man doesn't cry. Fucking harden up. And it's sort of like now you sort of grow up and you realize, it's okay. Look, I don't want to get into the therapy side of things, but look, we have got an issue with depression, suicide, dysfunction. I think we're making insights into it, but we have got a shitload of work to do there. But at least there's an awakening of the importance of mental health, mental well-being. And like I said, I don't sit in that spectrum. I don't have the it's not the area that interests me. I don't have the personality. I'm a caring person, but I'm not that sort of, it's not my style. I like to sit at high performance with fucking athletes that are fucking focused on what they want. That's what is exciting for me. So across that spectrum, I also have a support network. So in certain situations, I'll refer a client to a psychologist, to a therapist, because it's otherwise it's like building a building on top of toothpicks. If they've got psychological problems, they need to get that sorted first. I work John McEwen is one of my key psychs that I work with, and we have a great relationship. I've identified, they've come to me initially, identified there's some deeper issues. It's not my thing, refer them to John. Next thing you know, they come back, they're better, and then I'm doing my bit. And it's a beautiful fit. Yeah. But, like Clint Eastwood said, you got to know your limitations. So I have to be mindful of my limitations and what I do.
That's a big step in coaching, is because people always take on, I can do everything. You want to do this? Yeah, I'll have a bash. No, if you know, that's a sign of a good coach, in my opinion, that you can step back and no.
It's not my area of expertise. Well, at the end of the day, mate, we're talking about someone's life here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If someone said, I have worked with, and again, there are situations where I dip into the therapy, and if I feel that I'm comfortable with that, there are times where they've gone, look, I've gone to see, but I want to work through it with you. If I'm okay with that, they're okay with that. Like I said, with some of my clients, I've gotten, through a tough patch. You can appreciate a lot of athletes. It's what is inevitable. Your life is never going to be smooth sailing.
I want to ask you about that, Dave, because we get a lot of guests on here that have had pasts that have been traumatic, and they've been very successful. How often do you see people leveraging or utilizing traumatic experience to turn it into performance on the day? Is that healthy, or should they rethink that whole strategy and get that trauma?
I'm a real fan of. I think firstly, you've got to ensure that they're at a certain level of stability, right? So generally, most people that see me are already functional. Now, when I say functional, we all have our moments where we get a little bit down. You know what I mean? So we've got to be careful that we're talking in that context, not to the point where, fuck it, I want to jump in front of a fucking train or something, right? That's really extreme. So 99.9% of my clients are in that spectrum. So I'm generally quite comfortable working with them. There are only a few extreme situations where I've identified something's not quite congruent or right here, I will refer them, right? So I think for a lot of people, one of the things that I talk about is learning to reframe everything to serve you. So for me personally, my motivation isn't so much from the reinforcement from in a positive sense. What really motivated me, in fact, I can tell you one quick story of a situation where, as a printer, I mean, I'm doing strongman, Greg, so you can imagine me at work, right? I've got a chili bin like this. There's fucking about a dozen boiled fucking eggs, a chicken, broccoli. You imagine when you take the lid off, smells wonderful, you know what I mean? I'm salivating, and everyone else is going, what the fuck? You know, all you do is eat, man, you know? And that's all I did really at work, because I fucking hated working.
Just went for lunch.
But they saw me as this, they just saw me as this, you know, 165 kg big bull thug. You know what I mean? That's all he did. He fucking pulled trucks and worked security on the fucking Friday night and Saturday night in South Auckland. So I remember going up the corridor, and the manager at the time pulled me aside and he said, hey, Dave, what's this bullshit about you going into doing psychology stuff? Boy, you only just managed to pass your apprenticeship. So he's applying, you're way too fucking thick, you dumb fuck, to do that. And that, for me, was one of the most incredibly motivating moments. I get motivated by proving fuckers wrong. Now, what was interesting for me, this guy was a real golf fucking fanatic. About 10 years later, I'm up at Gulf Harbour. I've got Lydia, I've got Cecilia Cho. So I've developed 2 world number ones, one year after another. The only coach in the world to have done it is me. And I've got Michael Hendry as another pro, and I'm sitting there, and these guys are the fucking creme de creme of golf. And fuck me, that guy shows up. Right? And I saw him walk in, he saw me, and he knows who I am, and he's fucking wants to say hello to and be introduced because fuck, we connected. So I thought, fuck this, I'm going to intervene. So I get up and walk towards him, and you can see him. He goes, oh, g'day, Dave.
Fuck, here we go.
Any chance you can introduce me, you know? And I went, and at this point, we're still shaking hands. And he said, oh, can you introduce me to Lydia and Mike and them? And I went, and I'm still holding his hand. I went, hang on, before you go, mate, I just want to remind you of something. And I started squeezing his hand. Do you remember what you said to me in the corridor?
Classic.
And he goes, no, I can't remember. I said, oh, I'll fucking quote you. Son, you only just managed to pass your apprenticeship. Guess I've fucking done okay, haven't I? And he goes, oh, yeah, you fucking blew me away. I said, now, fuck off. I'm not going to introduce, fuck you. Because, you know, the people that don't fucking believe in you, I am not going to, I get very selective now who I give my time and attention to. I don't need to be affirmed by any motherfucker. I don't need to have everyone blow smoke up my ass. I am in a very comfortable place where I don't give a fuck if you like me or not. And that's
fucking liberating.
Yeah. It is the most wonderful, because you know oneself. Yeah. You know, I have a lot of people say, oh, he's fucking a bit arrogant or he's whatever. I would say, you haven't fucking met me. You make an assumption, but I will guarantee it, mate, I don't give a fuck anyway. What do you think? And it took me years to get to that, because for me, I was constantly seeking that affirmation.
How do you manage with athletes where they are seeking that affirmation?
Well, obviously, there's a process here. It's multi-pronged. Sometimes they need to have that affirmation initially, but ultimately I teach them how to protect themselves. So one of the things I work on is building a strong self-image. That in itself gets them to a point where they don't, it's nice. I still love the compliments. Don't get me wrong. I love it. I love it when people go, fuck man, that was awesome. It still gives me a buzz today. I love it. But when you can have an athlete who doesn't need it, and it sets them free. You know, ideally, I want my athletes fearless and self-sufficient and focused and tenacious. Because you can appreciate, you know what it's like, guys. If you want to get to the highest level, you also have to appreciate that you probably have to be a bit selfish, right? Now, in doing so, the realities are that you're probably going to hurt some people. It's a fact of fucking life. If you are going to go on that path to being the best version of yourself. I mean, you reflect back on your life now, how there's probably some people that you used to think were really cool. Now you think, what a fucking joke. I don't know why I hang out with them. You become more aware. Do you know what I mean? And you're going to find I'm more interested in genuine friendship. I have a lot of acquaintances. I only have a small amount of close mates. And there's the guys that I can hug and say, fucking love you, bro. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm more interested in genuine. I'd rather have 5 mates that I can rely on than have 500 people on fucking Instagram going, oh, you're the man. You know, wank off. I don't give a fuck about that shit. You know, people say, how many fucking members, how many followers you got? I don't know. I don't give a fuck. It's not important for me. What the fucking shit, you got 50 followers? What does that mean? Well, I'm an influencer. Fuck off. I mean, what are you really doing? I mean, you know, if you're influencing with a message, all power to you. I get that. But I think we're in this cosmetic bullshit, false fucking economy where, God damn it, we have people looking up to the Kardashians. I mean, seriously? With respect, what the fuck have they really? I mean, they were already set up in life. You know, it's fucking easy for them to. And we have people who are more interested in looking pretty than being genuine. Fuck that. That's fucked up, man. I have more respect for someone who's wants to be themselves than who wants to be affirmed by fucking everyone. Imagine going for the rest of your life. You can't go out unless you got makeup on. Well, fuck me. I love ugly. Welcome to my world, man. I'm not that fucking pretty, eh?
I mean, that's 90%, probably even more, 90% of the world these days. You know, they need to catch people's attention, and then they want the affirmation. It's, oh fuck, how many likes is my phone going to go off? How many likes did I get on that picture? Etc. etc. You know,
like 90% of the world that we see anyway. That's in our own little sphere.
Yeah.
You know, there's a whole side of the world that don't give a shit about that.
You know, and then you get, like I said, it's about being genuine.
There's a whole bunch of people that are going to the gym and they're not saying they went to the gym. And the question I have in my mind, did you go to the gym?
Yeah.
If you didn't record it, you know, is it actually a thing?
Yeah.
Can you go to the gym without telling me about it?
You know what pisses me off is these guys that go in there and they spend more time after they do a set and then they're on the phone. Leave your phone in the fucking car and train with a purpose. Now, I personally don't give a fuck what your photo looks like, and that's great that you fucking train, but you don't have to fucking tell every other cunt that you've fucking gone out there and trained. Get the fucking job done.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I've fucking trained because I want to fucking train. Yeah, you starting me. I'm getting all itchy now.
You're getting itchy, yeah.
Here we go. We found Dave's trigger.
Dave, yeah.
This is
I'm going to start fucking ranting and raving now.
Oh, we'll send you the invoice.
Yeah. What do you tell athletes? What do you tell athletes that you know? Because in the New Zealand society, athletes are put on pedestals and they're expected to be, you know, perfect role models. And anything they do, you know, and at the end of the day, all they want to do is their sport, but they're expected to be role models for young people. So
and unfortunately, mate, you know, what's interesting in this society, you know, obviously we can appreciate Israel's just going through a bit of a rough patch with the statement that he made. And a lot of people are judging him on that statement. Now, mate, that guy has got a heart of gold. You know, and what he said, without a doubt, was incorrect, inappropriate and inexcusable. And we look, you know what it's like, mate. We have all made a statement that has probably been inappropriate. Unfortunately, because the statement was made in a situation where it was in public domain, thousands and tens of thousands of people there to witness it, he's suddenly crucified for it. Now, I believe that he has presented an apology, and I would, knowing Israel, it would upset him that he's upset people. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
But you guys know how many times you've been in the gym and you've said something to your mates that is completely inappropriate, but it was said because it's sort of the fucking talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And look, you know, here's the reality. When you're in the limelight, you got to mind your language. Simple as that.
Mm.
Yeah. And what we have to appreciate, you imagine this. Israel in the last 2 years has come into the limelight. He has 28 years of history where you take away the childhood and then you look at his journey for him to get there, the shit and the struggle that man's been through.
Mm.
People are very quick to judge him on one statement.
Yeah.
No, you haven't met the guy, and I have. I have a very close relationship and a good relationship with Izzy, and I have nothing but respect for the man. I totally believe, without a doubt, in his heart, he was upset that he had said that and that he had upset people.
Mm. Unfortunately, it just seems to be a theme at the moment that one error in the way we conduct ourselves. Yeah, people just want to crucify, cancel you.
Absolutely.
You know, they're not looking at the bigger picture. Obviously, there are incidents that are totally unforgivable. More, actions obviously that are unforgivable and definitely pay the price. But I think words and statements, nobody can hand on heart say that I haven't said something stupid. Something they've regretted straight away.
Totally agree, mate. Look, I'm not a religious person, mate, but I'll tell you this, from the Bible, and they said, when Jesus said, those amongst you who haven't sinned, let he cast the first stone.
Mm.
And I think, we need to wake up. Unless you're damn fucking perfect, I can appreciate that there has to be a certain amount of policing of that. I get that. But when you have average mojos that are on there, you should see some of the statements that have been made. Mate, I know what Izzy has done for the community. He goes and does work for, he gives something back. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I would challenge some of these people that made comments. If you went and looked into their lives and dug, you'd find plenty of shit too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think the difference would have been if say Richie McCaw had said the same thing? Do you think he would have been?
Mate, again, it would have been a very similar outrage. I would say possibly resonate a little bit closer to home here in New Zealand, in the sense that because we've such a strong culture here in the rugby sense, and Richie almost being like the Prince of New Zealand, so to speak.
Yeah, pretty much godlike, yeah.
Oh, mate, we're talking royal inquiry here now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it would have been, yeah.
The guy would have to go somewhere like Tasmania to live thereafter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Tasmania, but anyway.
Dave, what's next for you, mate? What's the plan for the next few years? You're gonna make a comeback in powerlifting. I looked up your powerlifting results. They're few and far between.
Yeah.
But there's some impressive numbers there, eh? You still have something left on the platform. You still have something you feel like you want to prove, or just for the shits and giggles?
Yeah, well, I think it's always been in my blood, in my DNA to hang around strength. I'm obsessed with it. Like I said, you guys, you all both corrected me and never say never, and you're absolutely right.
That's a good point, actually. That's a point. What do you tell somebody, who's 50 plus in the strength game?
Yeah.
The mind is saying yes, the body's saying no. They've hinged their.
Welcome to my world, bro.
Yeah, and I feel for them, and I'm heading that way too. I'll get there.
I think what it is, in all honesty, mate, Maslow talks about this in the hierarchy of needs. And one of them, obviously, that's very up there is identity. And I think what I'm sort of starting to realize and starting to release is that sense of identity. I hang out with Lon and them. Why? Because we talk about the old days. We reminisce, we're reassuring each other of what we could do. But at the same time, we're in denial about what we can't do. Here I am now, I've got an elbow that's still I get treatment twice. I've been getting treatment twice a week for 20 years. Now here's something that's interesting. A guy called Doug Maynard from Lifestyles Neuromuscular, that guy and his team have kept me going for 26 years, mate. I was told by a top surgeon who I won't mention name, again, one of those guys I like to fucking punch out. I went and saw him many, many, many years ago, and he said to me, all I can do is fuse it, and you'll never bench press again. You better stop now. Fuck you, motherfucker, because at fucking 48, I benched 182.5 kgs. Fuck you and your fucking advice. So when you're dealing with high quality athletes, you've got to appreciate we're talking about a high level of fucking passion. These people will do whatever it takes. Now, for me, I have to start releasing, and again, I'm adjusting goals. I had 2 goals last year. One was to bench 200. Now, I got very close. Working with Dan Holiday, who was my programming coach, I doubled 190. So I was on track. Then the elbow went. I had a bad pass out, and the guy just let the bar go, and this elbow wasn't set. That was it, gone. So I had 2 goals. One was to bench 200. Yeah, I'm still holding on to that dream. It's still written down. But the other one was I wanted to get healthier. I've got hip fucking replacement. I went out. You ever heard of a guy called Mark Graham? Probably one of our greatest rugby league players ever. I love Mark Graham. He played for North Bears in Sydney. He's a fucking icon in rugby league. But he was also known as one of the toughest motherfuckers to play the game in the 70s and 80s. He's a fucking tough old prick. Him and I caught up one day for a game of golf. And it was hilarious, mate. We're going tit for tat for fucking injuries. I've broken this, I've broken this, I've broken this, I've broken this. I think he got me by about 2 bones. But there was only 2 fucking left in the body, I think. Apart from 2 at the ear, Yeah. And even then I've had that ripped off playing rugby. So, you sort of, you come to this point where you have to start realizing, fuck, mate, I've got to start letting it go. So the goal was to get, I've lost 20 Ks since November last year.
Nice.
Yeah, and I'm feeling
well done, mate.
Fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
Again, shout out to Jordan Earl, who is my nutritionist. He has really helped me get on the right track, mate, and what a difference it's made. So I'm feeling better. I'm feeling energized. I'm actually still maintaining a lot of strength. I still fucking get a kick going in there with these young boys. I mean, I can't fucking squat and deadlift like I used to. The hip's fucking gone. But I still get on the ISO bench. You know the old fucking ISO bench? Plate-loaded ISO bench? Yeah. Mate, I'm on there. I did 6 plates each side, mate.
Nice.
And I'm fucking repping 6. And guys are going, what the fuck? They're only doing like 2.
Yep.
I still got it, but...
Love that machine. Lets you bench way more than you actually can.
And you know what's interesting?
Looks
I would
good.
mock fuckers that wouldn't deadlift, bench, or squat. That was it. If you came in and said to me, I leg press 12 plates each side, I couldn't give a fuck.
Exactly. Eh?
But here we are, the ISO bench 6
Here we
plates
are.
aside.
Here I am. I'm on the ISO. But mate, it's so nice because I don't feel anything in my elbow. I can feel it in my chest. I'm starting to transform now, and all those old bullshit beliefs. Well, I think they served initially. They had to because you identify as a fuck. You go in there, and I had these young boys doing going back about 8 years ago. There was guys in there doing 5 plates each side on the deadlift. So I'm working in with them. They're young cops, and they're deadlifting it for fucking singles. Mate, I'm going in there and doing a set of fucking 12, 15. Do you know what I mean? It's like, fucking hell, boy. And they're half my age.
Yep.
You would have said that I still get a kick out of that.
Yep.
But the respect that they have. And so I want to stay healthy. I want to stay young, both in mind and body. So I'm starting to reinvent myself to serve the next sort of 30 years, mate. I want to be around. People said to me, when are you going to retire from coaching? Fuck that, mate. I'll be 99. I'll still be coaching.
No, man. Yep.
I fucking love it, mate. This is not a job for me. This is a passion.
Awesome, my friend. We're gonna cap it at there. But if people want to reach you and wait fucking 7 weeks and pay a ton of money to see the best, how can they reach you?
Yeah, the website. See, I don't even know what that fucking.
I'll fucking put it in the notes. I'll put it in the show notes, people. So if you're a millionaire and want to become a billionaire, you're a billionaire, want to become a multi-billionaire, Dave's your man. You're a top-level sports person, you want to go the extra 10, 20%. Dave, you want to put a number on the performance increase that you can guarantee people? Or
100%.
And 100% improvement in your game. Yeah. Fucking hell, Dave, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, my man. Obviously, we've been friends for a while, and you're a legend.
I've been friends with Jackson, not so much you. You're an asshole, mate.
Oh, fuck it, Alex. I'm going to edit.
I'll take it. I am looking for a new co-host, obviously.
So you motherfuckers, I'm going to edit that intro right into the very beginning.
Yeah.
They'll be what the fuck are people talking about here?
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
No, thanks for your time, Dave. It's I think it's it's an interesting subject that most people don't pay attention to.
If we get some more specific feedback, we could tee it up and you can go a little bit more into the actual details of it if people are interested.
100%. Well, if you're listening and you have comments or questions, chuck them into the comments in either Facebook or whatever, and we'll get Dave back on at some stage, probably in 7 weeks.
We'll have to fit into the waiting list.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Remember, it's I don't know if you guys can afford me because I've already invoiced for this one, mate.
Yeah, just send it to Jackson, mate. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, boys.
Enjoy.
Thanks,
shot, mate. Thank you.
See you,
boys.
See you later.